don't want to miss this.
God bless America.
Don't get captured. Civil War. Rated R. Get tickets now.
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering. You may have remembered some coverage. I think I do so many videos today, it's hard for me to remember if I mentioned this specifically. I feel like I probably did cover it. There's a movie coming out, Tim Pool's movie, Civil War. It's not really Tim Pool's movie, but unironically titled Civil War, that many thought at the time that was going to be some sort of woke trash. Well, it turns out it's actually not woke, and the left is pissed about it. They're mad that it didn't pick a side. Now, again, this isn't going to be, I always hold the position that, we shouldn't be buying stuff to quote unquote own the libs. And I know that there was a big push for Sound of Freedom and everyone went and saw that. And I don't know, because I haven't seen this movie. I'm not telling anyone to see it, but I'm looking at the reactions of the people who've seen it, and it seems like people who are the most left-leaning have the biggest problems with it. Let's start with Grace Randolph, who I have no personal beef with. She's a very basic, leftist, old-timey movie reviewer. It's from a bygone era, right? Here you have a movie that she says her review has 50,000 views and it's 50-50 on likes and dislikes. Many of the replies, see, Grace, I really like your channel, but I laughed. Americans mad that someone made a movie about history with no regard to the country's history. That's the story of Hollywood and America. Now you guys understand how mad we get when you portray us in a wrongful manner. Hollywood does it all the time because she's mad that, it does it all the time. They decide how to tell stories from other countries. So the exact reason Alex Garland paired Texas and California was purely not to pick sides. Imagine if you'd made a movie pro-Democrat and then made Texas the bad guys. It would not only be biased, it would further cause division in the real United States. They're mad that they didn't pick sides. You see some of the stuff poorly researched, United States Today, the Confederacy, anti-journalism, all this kind of stuff, lack of military understanding. I'm sure that Grace Randolph is a military expert, mad about, January 6th, all this kind of stuff. I mean, look at this.
The reason that there's such a problem today is that they actually do have training and can be somewhat effective. Now, sure, January 6th looked ridiculous, but remember this conversation we just had about Manhunt? I think in large part, it's being intentionally portrayed as ridiculous. I mean, isn't that fascinating? But
so she's like, yeah, that 80-year-old grandma who marched in the trespass in the Capitol, who's now facing prison time. It was ridiculous. Grace Randolph is mad that that was portrayed accurately.
We do know that it was way more effective than it ever should have been.
Was it? Did it change anything?
January 6th people who were on camera actually got a lot of behind-the-scenes help from major figures in the government.
What? What is she talking about? You mean all the people who've had their lives ruined? All the people who have went to prison? There's like the 70-year-old grandma that they're trying to put in prison now. I mean, it's so wild. Like, it seems like this seems more like a rant than criticism. As somebody who has fled, damn, Grace is angry. Personally, I accept what Garland is trying to do, but I will judge it for myself. Grace comes across as someone with a very sheltered life. Everybody's mad that not only didn't pick sides, but that it dared to use real footage. So Andy No apparently had some footage used by the film. Okay, he wasn't like in the film. It wasn't like portraying him or any of this stuff from what I can see. But the left is having an absolute meltdown simply because they used footage. After seeing that hashtag Civil War uses footage from Andy No, parentheses, usually means he was paid for said footage. And then the producers thanked Helen Lewis, both of which are Nazis. I'm pretty sure that would make Andy No the very first ever Asian gay Nazi. So congratulations. It didn't have if I didn't have a non-refundable ticket, I might have canceled my plans to see it. People are trying to refund their tickets because at the very end, like the last frame of the credits, it says archive video footage supplied by. So they used archive video footage from Andy No, and that is what's triggering everybody. And so they're slanting, has anyone identified the archival footage accredited to Andy No in Civil War yet? Since he routinely adds misleading captions to videos filmed by other people, it seems fair to ask if filmmakers confirm the video they were actually recorded. This is a lot of like super soldier leftoids that get really mad that Andy catches them on camera doing crimes and being stupid. You can see yet another Palestinian flag in the bio, which is the new Ukraine flag in the bio, based on the stuff that's come out about Alex Garland collaborating with Andy No. Again, collaborating with him. They paid to license a little bit of footage from him, is what I understand. I'm reminded how often objective centrism seems to drift right and never left. Yeah, you've never seen in mainstream media. Sad to see Civil War use Andy No as source for footage. It's been known since at least 2019 that he's a hack propagandist. Known by who? Known by who exactly? Helen Lewis and Andy No thanked in the credits of Alex Garland's film Civil War, and this is just the other day in the Atlantic. See A24's Crimes of the Future Zone of Interest for more confirmation that they don't believe in anything at all. They just care about tickets. Yeah, they'd be the first company in Hollywood to ever care about ticket sales. And it's because this Helen Lewis person has spoken out against transing kids. Which, by the way, we just saw a scientific journal come out, or scientific study come out yesterday that also debunked puberty blockers, which I may dedicate a single video to later because it's just so obvious that we're going to see billions in lawsuits. And you see this individual, Olivia Hill. Now pay attention to that profile photo, okay? In case you're wondering about watching Civil War, they thank actual Nazis in the credits. This is all from leftoids that thought California was going to take over Texas or something. That's what they thought. Not going to lie, seeing Andy No and Helen Lewis in there really hurts my opinion. This has 12,000 likes. And all they did was use archived footage from him. And then this person's been spurging out ever since. Prove he's a Nazi. People, here's evidence of providing names and information to Adam Waffen. He was just reporting degenerate leftists. Well, yeah. Okay. So we're just calling everyone we don't like a Nazi now. I mean, and then you see Andy No responds. The makers of Civil War movie did not thank me in the credits, Olivia, in parentheses. This is as fake a claim as your profile image. That's the profile image. That's the individual person. They credit the sources for the footage being used. This individual represents the delusions of Antifa, Trantifa, and their supporters. Unfortunately, we just can't laugh them off as internet loons because they often try to injure or end others through the manifestation of their own self-hatred. I went to look at this individual's Twitter bio and I was pre-blocked by them. Now, if you look at the movie, it has a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes with 84 critic reviews. That's actually pretty good. That I would say that that's exceedingly good. Now, generally, to get a critic review score of that, it would need to be like an LGBTQIA plus movie. Like it just would have to be. That's how you get high critic scores. You see this movie, 45,000 upvotes, 3,000 downvotes. If you look at some of the most, more recent comments, giving purge vibes, people ask, we need this for real. The woke and the communists need to go. Essentially, a lot of people really wanted to politicize this movie, and perhaps that was the intention through its trailer and marketing. People thought it would be woke. I probably did too at the time, but it turns out it's probably just a good movie. You see a lot of people that gave it negative reviews seem like people that were butthurt that they didn't pick the leftists as the good people. You see this vague under the impression it's making a bold point about journalism and society with its less is more technique to world building and characters, when in reality it's fairly transparent and vacuous. It seems like, in this splashy, provocative yarn about photojournalists on the front lines of an imaginary war, Garland declines to share any trenchant insights he might have on the nuances of American politics. Again, because the movie didn't pick a side, they don't like it. Because it didn't paint one side as the bad guy, one side as the good guy, they're mad. Civil War is a film that feels a lot like a guy at the office that likes to complain about politics but doesn't vote. Okay. Again, somebody who gave it a negative review simply because it didn't paint one side as the bad guy, we all know. The film's execution hampered in thin characterization, a lackluster narrative, and over-reliance on spectacle over substance left me disengaged. Okay, that's fine. At least they didn't mention it. At least they didn't whine about it not picking sides. Civil War offers a lot of food for thought on the surface, yet you're never quite sure what you're tasting or why. That comes from somebody who works for Rolling Stone magazine who doesn't know, is not used to watching movies and making up their own mind. So the left is melting down because this movie doesn't paint one side as good or one side as bad, and it doesn't push political propaganda. I mean, that's basically a new low. And the fact that they just use a little archival footage and people are trying to refund their tickets, I suppose is par for the course. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like on it, and we'll talk to you again real soon.